Hey folks, Jason Witten here. Welcome to the demonstration video of your small developer calculator. Thanks for downloading it. Hopefully it becomes a useful piece of your investment arsenal, helping you grow your property portfolio. Many people like the idea of adding value to their properties or maybe even before you purchase the property or fully own it, add the value via construction or building. And many of us as property investors are maybe too small or don't want to build larger properties, become a full-blown developer building 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 properties at a time, but maybe one or two, maybe a single house added value with some instant equity, or a duplex or a triplex or even a 4-pack is right up your alley. So that's what this calculator is designed for. Small developments, a single house, maybe up to a 4-pack maximum. If you do anything more than that, then you'll need a far more sophisticated feasibility and development calculator. But folks, this is the simple one, the develop and or sell and or hold analyzer that should help you at least get your head around the numbers. So let's dive into it and have a bit of a look at how to use it and maybe see if as we go along, it can help you get your head around whether your project, your construction, your property that you're thinking of developing or building, you might want to sell it, you might want to hold it, whatever it might be. So let's dive into it, folks. Pretty straightforward, simple calculator. The thing to remember is these portions here. Now, it's a little bit, it's not a dark blue, it's not a light blue, but it's the Goldilocks blue. The blue in the middle is where you fill out the information. It should be pretty straightforward to understand. First bits first, you put in, I'm going to do what I call a sub-luxury house, sort of a sub 2 million house. And at the moment, that's where we're finding some nice instant equity capable for small developers, not the regular investor house, your 600 to 800 house. That one's a bit more difficult to create instant equity out of, but your 900 to $1.4 million house, you can create a bit of equity. But anyway, that's not what this is about. This is just learning to use the calculator. Let's have a look here. I'll put the land market in. You might have a look at the value you purchased it at, whatever it might be. Put those numbers in there. It'll calculate a percentage, and it'll calculate a rough percentage, which is 20% plus some costs of what you're going to need to do this project. Now you can change that, but this is just giving you a rough understanding with 80%. Often 80% funding, unless you've got higher incomes and leverage, is usually an easier way to do this. If you've got a cash deposit going in, if you've got some legals, some stamp duty, you can click on this calculator here. If you click on that calculator, it'll take you off to do a stamp duty calculation over here. Okay, so you can have a look at whatever it might be. We just use realestate.com's calculator because it's easy and it's simple, and they always keep it updated. We don't have to, so there you go. It's a good one. It'll tell you all of your costs for the acquisition, some loan costs as well. You might have some valuations and other bits and pieces along the way that you might need to. And here there might be some holding expenses or income. Okay, so income is down a bit lower. You might have to hold that property for 6 months while you're getting something approved. Maybe it's a vacant piece of land. It allows a small amount of flexibility to put some income in while you're holding it, and overall see if the project's going to work. Down the bottom here, pretty straightforward. Your rent, any vacancy, etc., how many weeks would you rent it? If it's a full year, if it's a half year, whatever, you can put that in, and that'll calculate over here and give you your rent. This one, it's a piece of dirt. It's blank canvas, nothing to buy and hold. There might be some rates on it because the moment you buy the thing, the moment you own it, you've got to start paying rates and some insurances there. I put that in. But listen, you'll work it out with your team, I'm sure, when you're looking at what it's going to cost you to construct something. Listen, I've put in here 3 months for planning and approval. A pretty straightforward house should be pretty easy to get approved. And mostly the builder you work with and choose will probably do this. At the moment, within 9 to 12 months constructing a single house, if you start on time, should be sufficient. Depending on where you are in Australia, it might be a bit longer, might be a bit shorter, but just put 12 months in, and if it works, then it works, and then you can, go a bit further than that, right? So number of dwellings here, I've put in 2,500 a square metre. Now, again, you can click on this link here. It'll take you off to a calculator. These calculators here, we use them all the time. And this is the construction cost calculator. And so, look, all right, let's have a look at what we're building. I'm going to build a 4-bedroom, let's say, a brick veneer unique design, right? And I'm going to build it in Brisbane, and I'm going to do high quality, all right? So square meters. And I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to do, I don't know, call it 180. It might be a bit bigger than that, but let's just do 180. Have a look at what it might cost us. Okay, so there's the minimum, there's the maximum. Oh, that's a bit too high. I might sort of aim for a lower quality or medium quality one. Boom, there you go. Put in there 400, 574. Now that's a conservative online calculator. We use this just to flesh it out. You might get better. You might choose a builder that can help you get that price a little tighter. But, in here, you can see we've landed on 450,000 for that property. So we're doing a medium spec property, 2,500 a square metre, 180 square metres. Now, you might make it bigger, you might make it smaller, but this is just an example in here, okay? Now, there might be a bunch of other stuff you've got to add. For me, that approximate cost with BMT is everything, the whole box and dice, okay? If you want to get in there and do a little bit more nitty gritty, then, feel free to do so. I always put a contingency in here. That's fixed in at 5%, sales 3%, and marketing 1%. So those you can adjust if you want to, but I suggest you don't. That is kind of industry standard out there that you'll see, as you do a project. If you're going to sell it, by the way, folks, now you can put 0 in there, and that can roll into the value of your project over here if you want to, whatever it might be. All right. So over here, you've got your interest rates. I've put 6% in there. I've done interest only. It's only an interest-only calculator, folks, not P&I, and don't ever pay P&I on a construction project anyway. It's crazy, it's mad. It doesn't exist yet, but anyway, that's for another time. So 6% in here. What it does is goes through and calculates the drawdowns. This is on average over a 12-month period. Just let it roll with that. You might, like I said, you might be shorter, it might be longer, but let it roll. You might. And then you add in, all right, I'm going to construct this property. My total cost 1.4. I think the thing's going to be worth 1.8 in today's value. I might get a bit of capital growth during the time that I'm constructing it, over a year, 3%, probably okay. What's my return on money, on cash, on my cash on cash in? So I'm getting a pretty good return, 130%, which is my 350,000 plus my cash. I'm getting a pretty good return on my money over there when it comes to my instant equity. So that's my project. That's my idea. This one's a thumbs up, a red light, a green light for me. But let's say I could only sell it for 1.5 million. Let's see if I could do that. Well, is 10% profit margin enough? Okay, well, getting close, maybe not. Still could be worth doing the deal. And then let's say 1.3 million, you're losing money, negative. You wouldn't be doing it, would you, folks? Maybe it's a property, if you break even, that you want to keep long term. But again, this just gives you a rough idea of what might work for you. And then you come over here and then you go, all right, well, maybe let's have a look at it. Like during the development, I can see my drawdowns and my cash flow. And if you're cash flowing this thing, your cash flow costs out of your own pocket, well, you've got a budget for roughly this amount per month on top of your costs for your development. Okay, so that's what that is. It's pretty simple. It's not an absolute perfect thing, but it will help along the way for you forecasting, right? So up here, number of dwellings, we built one. Market value today, total cost. So I've got some instant equity built into my deal. do I want to hold this? Maybe 6% interest rate. And let's see if I can get access to some instant equity as well. If I was to redraw at 80% or 90%, there's an opportunity to get some instant equity if your finance or funding's capable of doing so. That depends on your broker, but let's face it, if you sold, then you'd have to pay capital gains tax and other taxes depending on how you're structured. Or maybe you could release the equity, unlock the equity, tap into that and go again. Who knows? But that's another little rough calculator for you to have a bit of a look at there. All right. So let's have a look at holding onto this property. I've put in here, let's put in $1,600 a week. I'm going to rent the thing out. I'm not going to do short-term letting. Got some costs over here. There's probably a bit of land tax in there. Let's call it $1,000 depending on your holding, if you are over the threshold, etc. And let's say I'm making $150,000 a year. All right. So this is, again, if maybe I want to keep it. The other calculator was, did I make a profit? The development data, and this one's the holding financial data. And some depreciation in here. Again, you can click on that. You can go over here and you can have a look at depreciation calculator, and it'll come in and sort of show you, all right, 180 square meters, standard house, or a reasonably architecturally designed house is probably what it was going to be, and then you press calculate and have a look at that as you go along. All right, so that's not the one. Just do standard house, and that'll be probably reasonably accurate. Architecturally designed might be a little bit over the top when it comes to our costs, but again, are you designing an architecturally designed house? There's higher depreciation. Obviously, there'd be a higher construction cost to that as well. Okay, so again, these are just links and calculators so you can form a sort of a guesstimate opinion on your project or your thought behind what you're trying to achieve, and see if the numbers stack up for you, folks. So we've put our numbers in here, our rent, our holding costs, etc., etc. We've got a depreciation in there, and let's see if it's worth holding. So we come over here and have a look at the property. Before tax, a bit negative. After tax, pretty good. I know I'd be more than happy after tax to pay $26 a week to own a $1.8 million house. Don't know about you. I think that'd be pretty tidy. It wouldn't take long. And if you look here, with some inflation and the rent going up over time, a couple of years and that property is positive cash flow after tax anyway. And 7 to 8 years, that property is positive pre-tax cash flow. And we've got other calculators for that, folks. But there you go. So that's it. You've got your small developer calculator. Hopefully it makes sense. Like I said before, you fill out these Goldilocks blue pieces. There's some automatic calculations in there, and certainly not an exhaustive feasibility. This is a snapshot feasibility, a quick sort of back of the envelope style one, a little bit more than back of the envelope, but it gives you a few things to think about, and hopefully the calculator is pretty useful. Let us know, give us some feedback on the calculator. But that's it from me, folks. Hope you enjoy using that stuff. If you want to find out more about what we do, follow some of the links. We do webinars, we do education and training for property investors. We've got other calculators, lots of great stuff at Positive Real Estate. So track us down. All right, folks, that's it from me. Jason Witten signing off. Take care. Bye for now.